Hello everyone, meeting from the bedroom here, your guitar junkie. So, I've had some questions throughout my video time on YouTube. Anyone that's got any questions about anything that I've ever said, or just a question in general, ask me in the comments on this video. So I have some friends that watch it and they ask me, and what about this, what about that? So I don't know if I should just do a video where I'm just answering some of those questions. I don't know. You tell me. So I got my new Betancourt signature Washburn N24 F for flamed maple. Can you see that flame maple? Look at that flame maple. Look at it. Yeah, got a damn good video today. So, I'm just going to put another backing track on, and I'm going to try, I'm just going to freestyle it, just a jam. And the reason why is that I've jammed with a lot of people and a lot of great players that basically need to read music to play. They could read music and play anything. But when it comes to, or they could play a cover song that they've learned. But when it comes to just jamming, they just can't do it. And I've asked them plenty of times, you know, someone will come over the house and they ask, you know, you come over, you gonna, you know, or my other friend would ask that friend, why don't you come over? And he'd say, because I'm not good at jamming. But I've seen this guy play, and I've seen him do about 30 songs. But when it comes to just making something up on the fly, you know, he said he couldn't do it. And I guess there's a lot of people that are out there that are like that. I'm quite the opposite. I just make it up as I go along. And if it's something I like, I try to teach myself. I try to memorize it. I try to learn it. I put it on video and I just watch it until I get it down pat. So that's what today's video is all about, boys and girls. I'll do this jam thing, and I may mess up a little bit, but that's what happens when you're just doing a jam thing. So I'm on number 45, track 45, and it's one of two that I think I have in mind. Let's see what happens. I remember starting this. I'm going to this. Yeah, so a little sloppy here and there, but pretty much I could take what I liked from that, like the beginning. I like the way I changed the beginning just a little bit, and the little tweaks that I put in there just to remember, because I just felt like my solos were becoming generic. Like, excuse me, did you hear that? So I had a cassette tape of me back in the 80s of doing all this sound effect stuff. Kind of like how I do the like that, which I don't have the gain on my amp. That's just the Zeus drive that you hear it going through. It's like the harp that you hum through. I had one of those. I could never do it. So I emulate it with my pedal and my phase shifter. And I had a cassette of me playing, having songs, and in between each song, I would do something different on the guitar. And then years later, when, you could actually see your favorite guitar players on videotape, there was a store in Ronkonkoma, Long Island, that record stop. You can go there and they had bootleg stuff. They had albums that Jimi Hendrix made that were copied and weren't like released back in the day. And they had videos, bootleg videos and stuff like that. People were bringing the cameras into the concerts. And you could see these guys play. And I saw a lot of the guys I was looking up to later on were doing what I was already doing years prior. And it's not like, we're copying from any. It's in your head. It's just like when you're born to play the guitar, you just play it. You either have it or you don't. And I know a couple of guys that don't. And one guy used to say to my buddy, I just wish they had a pill that you could take a pill and learn how to play guitar. And this guy collected a lot of high-end guitars, but it's almost like a guy with no legs collecting shoes. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So yeah, and it's just learning your fingering on the fingerboard, and getting a general, sense of the scale. Just work on one scale at a time until you could, just like blast through it. Go slow, and then until you can just like, speed through it. So what I used to do is I used to do the scale, in regular, slow, and then just keep on doing it until it go faster and faster and faster and faster. And every day I used to practice that. And now I hear the percussions going down, and I'll do it either going down the neck or going up the neck, and I'll hit all of those scales, not knowing what the scale is. I don't know if it's a pentatonic, tonic. I don't know if it's whatever. I just know that name. So yeah, it's just getting that down, and then even if you start with one scale, and you find something in that key, and you just play with it and just work on it every day and just keep on going over and over and over again. I remember the songs that I was writing, like Radio Man. You could see it in my Black and Blue Part 2 playing in my backyard. We had a housewarming party. And I remember I had from my buddy that's a professional, he gave me a reel-to-reel to record my stuff on. And I remember, like asking other musicians, what do I do? And this, and they're like, you got 4 tracks, it's a 4-track. You dub it down, leave 1 track open, for your solo. And if you don't have a track that's open, he said, use your vocal solo, where you add the vocals in. Because you're not going to be singing, so it's going to be blank, so you could add that on there. And I remember Radio Man and working on that solo for like a week. Every day I was in there working on it, and how does it go? Something like that. I have to hear the song again or really get into it. And I remember working on that. You know, I would start here and I would go here and I would go here, and I remember every day until I got it down, and then recording it and then playing it back and go, oh, I don't. So, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Oh, okay, I messed up. Let me put that on there. When I'm jamming, I don't care. When I'm just playing on a video, I don't care. When I'm putting something down on cassette, you know, reel to reel, that I'm trying to make as perfect as possible, then I'm concerned. That's why I didn't like doing it. I'd rather go to a studio and play my music and then just have someone tell me, you know, start, stop, start, stop. You don't like it? Do it again, kind of thing. And I had another friend that was one of the top 3 famous bass players from Long Island. It was Steve Palmer, then it was Randy Coven, and then Mike Frost, and his whole house was a studio, and he's like, yeah, come on over, and you know, we could record your songs. And I never did it. I didn't, because he was like, he didn't want to charge me. I used to train him. We had barbecues at his house. You know, once a month I would go to his house for a barbecue and a pool party. And he had a couple of CDs out. They flew him to England, to the Abbey Road studio to do a solo album. And I never did it, but that's what I rather prefer. Just go to a studio and then have my band there, and then we lay it down, and then there's start, stop kind of thing. So yeah, the whole premise of the video is I started playing something before and I made it up, and the video before this one. And I was like, you know what, I didn't say, I should have said something about just jamming, just freestyling, just a jam, and making stuff up as you go. And even Richie Blackmore said that the better guitar player is the one that's willing to make that mistake and think outside the box. He was referring to Joe Satriani. They kind of took it out of context, though, when they finally, the comment got to Joe Satriani. And he said, yeah, Satriani would play perfectly every time, but if he thought about something, he would stick with his formula. He says, it's when you think about and you try it, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. And Eddie Van Halen said that if you play something and you make a mistake, he said you have 2 choices. You could either laugh it off and keep on going, or you could play it again and let people think you meant to do that. So, and I saw a video on Frank Zappa. He was saying that, look, when it comes to a solo, he says, I know I have a limited time. I know when to start and I know when I'm going to have to end it. He says, and I never play the same thing twice. I always make it up as I go along. He says, you got those technical players, he says, that'll play the exact same solo each and every time. He said, but that's okay. He says, for him, it was a little boring, so he would always change it up all the time. And Yngwie said the same thing, that he never plays the same thing twice live from the album. But Frank Zappa did say it's that moment in time where you could make something, you know, sound good, no matter how you do it. And the same thing with Jeff Beck. He would make noises on a guitar, and you'd say, how, you know, I remember Hendrix was saying to Billy Gibbons, you know, he's trying to figure out what Beck is doing on a guitar. How is he doing that? And Gibbons said, you know, in an interview, he said, we're wondering what you're doing, Jimmy, kind of thing. So, yeah, if you're having fun with it and it sounds good to you, that's all that matters, really. All right, that's about all I've got to say about that. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I bet it tomorrow. And I'm going to lean in because I think it's not going to work again. Boom.